Welcome back, fellow neural networks. So today we're going to talk about one of my projects that I haven't talked about before, but I'm shutting it down. And the reason I'm shutting it down is because it's kind of expensive. So we're going to talk about what the project is, what it cost me over the life of the project, and show you a little demo. So this project I made probably, I guess, a little over a year ago. And what it is Instaswipe. So you'll see it on the screen here. Essentially, you upload images and it puts it on a carousel. And the carousel spins around, and it's the name Instaswipe. It's kind of, the idea is taken from Instagram. So when you scroll on Instagram between stories, it'll do this carousel like transition where it puts your images on this box, basically 3D box, and then it rotates the box around. So that's what you see here. The reason I made this project was because I just wanted to learn some technologies last year. So the technologies I'm using in this project are using a Flask Python API. I'm also using Python OpenGL, and that's to do the 3D rendering. And I'm essentially mapping the images onto a cube and then rotating that cube around using PyOpenGL. And I'm also using Docker and Kubernetes. I'm deploying it on Google Cloud in a cluster, and that is why it costs too much for me to have up. So this was always meant to be just a kind of technology demonstration and a way for me to get myself introduced to deploying apps in production on Kubernetes, essentially. So I'll show you a quick demo first. So just instaswipe.ca. I'm going to keep the website up because the website is free to host. I'm hosting the website on Firebase. But I'm going to shut down the backend API that allows you to upload the images, because that's what is costing me all this money. So if I go here, click upload images, I can go in and I'll add a few images. I've got some duplicates here, so I'm just going to do 4. So that way it rotates. It'll put one image on every surface, or almost every surface of the cube. So it'll take a little bit. So while this is running, I can tell you a little bit about the cluster that I'm using. I'm using a cluster on Kubernetes with 2 nodes, and I'm pretty sure I'm using the E2 micro VMs. So 2 of those, and I think it's like 2 CPUs and 2 gigabytes of RAM per virtual machine, and there's 2 in the cluster. At some point, I think maybe 2 months ago or something like that, I noticed that when I went to Instaswipe, my API was not secured anymore. There was an issue with the certificate renewal. So I had to update the certificate management service on the cluster with Cert Manager. And that ended up increasing the CPU load slightly, which made it so that I had to run 2 nodes on my cluster instead of 1, because I think it was like a year or so, I was able to get away with just 1 node. And then when I made this update, it forced me to use 2 nodes, which obviously doubled my costs. So now I'm like, okay, I don't really want to maintain it at this new price point. So I'm just going to kill it, but make this video so you can see what it was. And I don't know, maybe if I have a ton of extra money in the future, I'll just put it up for old time's sake, but we'll see. So you'll see that it finished. So I'm going to open it, show in folder, and this is our result. So this is a picture I took from my backyard with my phone of the Milky Way, and I just touched it up a little bit in post-processing, and then it'll rotate. This is like one of the duplicates that I had. This one here is from my automated blog. So if you haven't seen that, check that out. I'll link it in the video description. There's a whole 3-part series about how I created my automated blog if you're interested. And again, another one of the duplicates. So yeah, it's kind of fun. It was definitely a good learning experience. And so let's talk about the costs. So you'll see here, just double check. Yeah, so I've got 2 nodes running, a total of 4 virtual CPUs and 4 gigabytes of RAM, 2 per node, 2 of each per node. And then here are the services that are running. So certification manager, the Instaswipe like backend, and an ingress controller. So this is like a reverse proxy to route the traffic to whichever node can run the request. And then what else do I have? So over here at billing, this is what I was talking about. So I'm not sure what the discounts are here. You can see it's saying the overall cost was $1,385, but I didn't actually pay that. I only paid $549 for the entire life of the project. Yeah, I'm not sure where the discounts came in, and I'm not sure at what point those discounts would run out. I think they're still being applied, although I'm not sure. But you'll see here a spike at the start, and then I optimized it a little bit, and then it kind of normalized to it normalized to just one of the nodes running. And then I guess 2 months ago, I had to put in that update, which forced the second node to come online permanently. So now I'm spending, at this point, it looks like between $2.08 and $2.38 a day, which is like too much. I don't really want to spend that right now because I'm working on some other projects. So yeah, this is why I'm shutting it down. But I hope you found it interesting. And this is kind of, I guess I can talk about one more thing here. Obviously running 24/7 compute can get kind of expensive, even if it's just a small cluster like this is. Of course, if you were running an actual business off of this wouldn't be considered that expensive. But I guess it depends on what your business model is and what you're selling. So in this case, I'm not selling anything, so it's just a drain. But yeah, so I don't know if you've seen my video on my scheduled Python virtual machine template. That would be a good way to get around some of these costs. But the problem with that is it's scheduled. So it's like you could maybe schedule a virtual machine to have an API up only during certain hours of the day, which is kind of silly. So that doesn't really work for this use case where you need an API to be constantly running and accepting requests. But for some use cases, it's cheaper. And so most of my projects that you've seen, like my automated blog and my automated YouTube channel, RedditTube, they're running off of that scheduled virtual machine infrastructure, which is a lot cheaper than running a cluster all the time like this. So yeah, I guess over the full life of the project, I spent $549 on this, which is like kind of a lot, especially for not getting anything back from it, except for feeling good about myself, I guess, for making this project. But yeah, I think it was worth it. And it was always up to me to decide whether or not I wanted to keep it running. So I don't know, maybe we'll turn it on at some point in the future, but for now, she's getting shut down. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos on basically software development in general. But mostly I'm going to be focusing on machine learning, and I've got some news coming out hopefully in the next 3 or 4 months. I guess 2 to 4 months. We'll see. But stay tuned. You'll want to get that news when it comes out. So thanks so much. I'll see you next time.